Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and today we are discussing a movie which it's not an old movie. But it's very, very jump scary, starring Ethan Hawke and Mr. Boogie. It's Sinister. So we'll go with opening thoughts around this little gathering here today. We'll go with Tim. What's your opening thoughts on Sinister?
I thought it was a good movie. You're right about the jump scares. I don't really like that as an effect. That seems to be something that with lens flares and all this other modern day muck that people complain about a lot. But as far as a story goes, it's a very original story. I really love the idea of finding a box of tapes in the attic and looking at them and seeing what they were. I mean, and what was on them and how old they are and stuff like that. That's really cool. And the idea that there's hidden images within the tapes as well was pretty clever. Uh, Similarly, like blowing up an image from a tape or from a photo and then seeing something that's not quite there but there. That's very clever. I like that. Very suspenseful. So he finally sees the beastie, Mr. Boogie. So but it was a very clever story. I mean, it was full of a couple of cool twists, like the twist at the end that he takes it with him when he moves. And we don't find that out till really the last 5 minutes that all those families had moved into the following house where the events happened again, and it involves one of the children. And there was always a child missing from each of these families that was murdered. So it was like, okay, it's odd that like big agencies like the FBI didn't put two and two together or something, over state lines and stuff and find out what's with all these families that are being murdered and one of the kids is missing, but they didn't really. And it's up to this journalist to take care of that. The back plot was pretty cool too, because obviously he's like a trash journalist. He's more interested in the story than telling. He's more worried about the fame and the fortune that goes along with being a trash journalist rather than actually making a good story or writing a good book. Like his wife tells him early on, why don't you just write fiction? You can come up with a good story. And he's like, nah, he'd rather be like a tabloid type journalist. So and of course the whole family suffers because of it. But at the end of the day, it's a very original film. I'll give you that. I would take off a couple of marks for the jump scares. I don't think that's an effective way to do horror films. And I think that there's better ways to do it than some of the classic ways, some of the classic films that we've done. So that's my opening thoughts.
Thanks, Tim. Let's go over to Jake. And what's your opening thoughts, Jake?
I remember vividly this film being advertised everywhere on all like the cinemas, on the big posters and stuff, especially near where I live, because there used to be one in the phone box and it used to scare the crap out of me, even though I was 12 anyway. Everything Tim's just said is to the point, exactly how I feel about this film. It was such an interesting idea for a horror film, but I think it is heavily let down by unnecessary jump scares, which are littered throughout this film. Some of them are really do have the effect like, shit yourself in bed sort of thing. But some of them are like, it's sort of expecting that. I think the best one for me that really made me jump is when the little girl pokes her face out when he's looking into the hallway. That scared the crap out of me because I hate children in horror films. They scared the crap out of me. Little scary demon girl and Michael Jackson demon ghost walking around is a bit like, the Bagul creature, or the Michael Jackson ghost, because that's what he looks like to me, I think is a really good design, because what isn't scarier than a demon in a suit? But it's a bit dodgy that he looks a bit like Michael Jackson and he's like taking all these ghost children away. Anyway, it was really interesting. And some of the shots did work, especially when I'll talk about it in a moment. Over to you, Lee. I hope I don't get shot now.
And now you've mentioned the resemblance to Michael Jackson, I can't get that out of my head now. Yeah, I agree. The jump scares are overused. But for me, the things in this is the writer. He moves into. He knows he's moved into a house where something's happened. Doesn't tell his family because, as Tim says, all he cares about is he wants the money, he wants fame. And then finding those films, and when he's sitting there just watching the films, and then he's seeing things, and then he's seeing more things, and then you know, when he's not even looking, sort of the picture's moving. I think she's a bit creepy. But yeah, it's, as Tim, it's very original, very, very original. So original, a sequel followed not soon after. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was it's not like many. I mean, this was from the creators of Paranormal Activity and Insidious, which they can be a bit iffy at times, but this one was up there, really good. So let's go to favourite moments or things what you could have done without. We'll go back this time with Jake.
It's the bit where he's sitting looking for all his notes in the computer, and you got the picture of Bagul behind him on his screen, and all of a sudden it turns like, sorry, I've got to stop saying he's like Michael Jackson. But and a bit when he pops up in the bush outside the house out of nowhere also sounds dodgy. It's so good. It's so creative that I just like those sort of jump scares that are good. When you're looking at something on the picture, you look down, it's there. It's quite effective, especially in like, I call it a kind of psychological horror film. It works quite well because he's slowly losing the marbles of the ghoul running around like kidnapping his children. But it does work, and so the Sense8 clips I think work really well in this film as well, because obviously it hasn't really been done before in a horror film, if I'm not mistaken, judging by what I've read after watching it. But it's effective. It just shows that a family can be ruined by someone being selfish with their work and throws them in a whole load of peeping pile of shit with Michael Jackson goes. But yeah, it is quite enjoyable. I wouldn't necessarily watch it again because I think the magic of all the jump scares is gone now because I've seen it twice, so I know what I'm expecting. And the second one wasn't very good, so.
Thanks, Jake. Over to Tim.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It becomes less effective. This was the third time I'd seen it, and I was just, trying to catch up and say, do I remember everything correctly? And yeah, some of the stuff that is going to happen is less effective. But the first time you see it, I'm guessing one or two of those jump scares are really good. That one that he just mentioned on the computer screen, and the one with the lawnmower, you don't see that coming, and it makes everybody kind of go. It's kind of like the Jaws moment with the head in the boat. You just kind of jump back like, oh shit. But I'd say if there's something I didn't like, it is a bit. I could say you could easily shave about 10 minutes off. I understand that his family is very upset, especially when she finds out that what's happening, that people have died there, because he never told them when they moved there. But it's just basically a domestic fight, and you're just kind of like, let's move along. But that could just be because it was the third time I was watching it. But I think you could have shaved about 10 minutes off, and it might have been more effective. I really like the ending, though. I really like the ending when he's on the phone with his Sergeant Andy, basically, who's wants to be his friend and wants to know him. He's asking for his autograph and all that stuff earlier on, and he finds out what's actually going on with the families moving from house to house, and then what's it realizes, oh shit, I brought it with me. So and then of course we see what happens after that. So that's probably the best bit.
Yeah. For me, I agree with what Jake said, that children in horror movie do sometimes creep you out. And when he's walking around the house in the dark because he's heard a noise, and the kids are like running behind him in slow motion. That is so well. Look at Jake. No, but and also when he goes up into the attic, and the kids are all sat there watching that movie, and they just go shh, till turn to him and go shush, and then all of a sudden he pops his head right, he falls down the ladders because Mr. Boogie pops his head round and makes him jump out of his skin. I agree with Tim there. If shaved 10 minutes, 15 minutes off it, it would have made it a bit more tighter. I did like the relationship between Sergeant So-and-so and Ethan Hawke's character. He wanted to be his friend. He wanted an autograph, but he was just using him for information. It was brilliant. So, anything else? What you'd like to say about the movie? Go on then, Jake.
Because it's been a few months since I've seen both of them. The first one is when you see Bagul in his other films as well. So you see like the Scorpion. Or is that in the second one?
No, the Scorpion's in this one.
Because the Scorpion is meant to be Bagul, because he takes all these different forms. I think it's mentioned in the other film, I can't remember. But that sort of is like, ugh. And like Lee was saying, all the like children goes, I hate it in horror film because it's so effectively creepy seeing this image of innocence as a demonic, scary bitch running around. Because if I saw a demonic ghost girl, I'd punch her in the face because I ain't got time to be haunted by one of them because they're terrifying, and they are, especially when they stuck her face out, like I said earlier. If I know there's a scary ghost girl in a film, I will actively go and avoid it because they scare me, and that image is stuck in my head. That leads to all the shh, and all of a sudden Michael Jackson pops his face out, goes ah, and makes him fall down the stairs. It's just like ugh. It is an image that sticks in my head, but I didn't think it was necessary at the end, that jump scare, because it's a running gag of all these Sinister films. That he's got to poke his head around the side, never in any other angle, always the same side. Don't know why he comes on the same side. He could come from the top, bottom, the side. No, does that side because reusing shots, because that's not lazy filming, is
No,
it?
I agree with that. That like the last scene in the film where he pops his head up, that's just like cringy. Like that's just audience. It's not even scary by that time. You're just like, oh, okay, there's your little last jump scare. Thank you.
It's just daft. But yeah, it is scary. If you saw that at the bottom of your hallway, you would get a bit shit scared. Unless you leave.
I'm surprised. I mean, it's only 15 rated, but I'm surprised they got away with what they did, like with the lawnmower scene and.
Well, most of the violence is implied; it's not actually shown. I mean,
look, to say that a 15-year-old can watch that, I most probably would have done this as an 18, to be honest, because of what it was implying and the families going missing and the murders. I would have made this an 18, but that's just me personal feeling about the movie. Anything else before we go to final sentence?
I think I've said everything I wanted to say about it.
Cool. Okay then. Well, final sentence score then, Jake.
I'll give it a 7. I can't give it any higher than that because the jump scares do let it down a lot. I don't care how original it was. If you litter a film with jump scares, each unnecessary one will put them score down. And there's a lot in this film. That's why I'm going to give it a 7. Bagul's he out of 10.
And over to Tim.
I agree about the jump scares, but I do think it's a very original horror film in an age where mostly you get schlocky remakes or, number 10 or something, 10th sequel, 18th sequel. This is actually something original and pretty clever too. And so I'll give it an 8. I think it deserves a little better than a 7.
Yeah, I think I'll give it the same. I'll give it an 8. It's just the jump scares do become too much. And as I say, it could have been cut down a bit, 10 minutes or so. But apart from that, very original, very entertaining, damn good story. And it's good to see that Ethan Hawke's still working because, he's an underrated actor, I shall say.
Yeah, he's very good.
Very underrated. So I'd like to thank you two guys for joining us talking Sinister. You guys out there, if you like what we do, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. If you want to join us, please message me and we'll try and get you onto cast whenever we can. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. If you subscribe to our channel, please press the bell and you'll get notified when a video goes up. You'll get a little ding and you'll be able to watch all our output. So until next time, sleep well. Bye for now.